hard times, tales from the dark side, evidence of the settlements on my hard drive. Man, I swear my heart died at the end of that car ride. When I saw that checkpoint, welcome to apartheid. Soldiers wear military green at the checkpoint. Automatic guns, that's machine at the checkpoint. Tables not M16s at the checkpoint. Fingers on the trigger, you'll get leaned at the checkpoint. Little children grown adults and teens at the checkpoint. All your papers better be clean at the checkpoint. Gotta put your finger on the screen at the checkpoint and pray that red light turns green at the checkpoint. And Martin Luther King had a dream of the checkpoint. He wake with loud screams from the scenes at the checkpoint. Is Malcolm X by any means at the checkpoint? Imagine if your daily routine was the checkpoint. And Martin Luther King had a dream of the checkpoint. He wake with loud screams from the scenes at the checkpoint. Is Malcolm X by any means at the checkpoint? Imagine if your daily routine was the checkpoint. Separation walls that surround in the checkpoint. On top is barbed wire like a crown on the checkpoint. Better have your permits if you found at the checkpoint. Gumming on the tower, aiming down at the checkpoint. Idea is to keep you in fear at the checkpoint. Enter through the cage in the rear of the checkpoint. Feels like prison on a tier at the checkpoint. I'd rather be anywhere but here at this checkpoint.
What happens when your worldview collides with a new set of facts and new ideas and new beliefs? What happens when everything you knew is in question? What happens when everything you read and have been taught no longer seems to make sense? Traveling to Israel and Palestine, I have the vestiges of slavery encoded in my DNA, with the imprinting of Jim and Jane Crow internalized in my subconscious, and living life daily as a marginalized Black woman. This particular social location affords me the opportunity, the undeniable opportunity, to witness the gross injustices of human rights, civil rights, and voting rights of the Israelis and the Palestinians. In Palestine and in Israel, I saw the naked truth, uncompromising, straight up in my face, and now it was setting me free.
Now, what Israel is trying to do is utter insanity, utter madness. It's really, a self-destruction and the destruction of everybody else around you. They are trying to control a population which is essentially as numerous as the Palestinians. We, the Palestinians, now actually constitute a little bit more than 50% of the population within the historical land of Palestine. And they are trying to essentially herd us into 8%, which is the extreme right to my right of the map. 8% of these Bantustans, really worse than Bantustans. The connections are very, very strong, and they are becoming stronger. This is a photo from Ferguson, where people knew that the tear gas that is being used against them was used against my people. 65 different kinds of tear gas canisters have been used against the Palestinians. We are basically guinea pigs for the US military-industrial complex. And that is one of the parties we ask you to divest from. The role of the churches in supporting the nonviolent movement in Palestine, Israeli and Palestinian progressives working to rid us of this injustice, is extremely crucial, because without victories that are supported by you, the option is not submission. The option is violence.
I'm a Jewish American. I was born in 1948, a big year for the Jewish people, and I was taught that the state of Israel was my redemption. When I met the Palestinians, I realized that there was no way that my redemption could be built on the ruins of another people and another civilization. Dr. Raphael Warnock, in his recent book, I highly recommend it to you, asks the question, what is the true nature and mission of the church? And he says, the question itself has a distinct resonance for a church built by slaves, formed from the beginning as the center of an oppressed community's fight for personhood and freedom. Hearing the Palestinian call, the church everywhere lays claim to this same mission. We are talking about a church that claimed its mission in the civil rights movement, churches that claimed their mission in the anti-apartheid movement, in the community-based movements that birthed liberation theology in Latin America, a church that is now responding across the globe out of their own contexts of freedom struggles in response to the Palestinian call. We are part of a global movement. Take a look at a map that Philip showed you of what Palestine looks like today and put it against the map of the Bantustans in 1985. That was the two-state solution that was being proposed by South Africa. That's the two-state solution that's being proposed today. It's done. It's one state. It's an apartheid state. It's our duty to say no to that state, to that reality, just like we said no to South Africa, just like we said no to apartheid in our own country.
This is a highly touchy subject, emotionally charged subject. Discussions most often degenerate into name-calling, anger, accusations, and impasse. Just to raise a question about the state of Israel will earn you the title of being anti-Semitic. You read the biblical text in the context of being occupied, you get a very different narrative. Israeli Zionist lobby has appropriated millions of dollars to target the black church, to take preachers and their members, to take students from HBCUs to Israel, to show them Israel and how the desert blooms, and have them become star-waving cheerleaders for the state of Israel, showing them nothing about the Palestinian reality, keeping them as far away from the wall, as far away from East Jerusalem, as far away from Gaza as is humanly possible. God calls on us to do justly, to love mercy, and as Alan Buzak points out, to walk humbly with God. That's to walk where God is walking. God is walking on November 17th, 2014 in Gaza. God is walking in Ferguson. God is walking next to the wall in Jerusalem. God is walking at the checkpoint in Jerusalem. God is walking to the voting booths in Georgia. God is walking in Palestine and Pittsburgh. And God is waiting to see if we are walking with God or walking in our own willful ways. The black church's response should be a response that is done carefully, prayerfully, and in solidarity.